Hi, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Our devotion for today, May 14th, 2021, is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 9, verses 28 through 36. I'm going to read the whole thing, verse 28 and following. Now, about 8 days after these sayings, he took with him Peter and John and James and went up on the mountain to pray. And as he was praying, the appearance of his face was altered, and his clothing became dazzling white. And behold, 2 men were talking with him, Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. Now Peter and those who were with him were heavy with sleep, but when they became fully awake, they saw his glory and the 2 men who stood with him. And as the men were parting from him, Peter said to Jesus, Master, it is good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah, not knowing what he said. As he was saying these things, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were afraid as they entered the cloud. A voice came out of the cloud saying, This is my son, my chosen one. Listen to him. And when the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone, and they kept silent and told no one in those days anything of what they had seen. I want to comment on this passage as one piece, so I read it all before saying anything. First, I'd like to point out that Luke says Jesus' face changed while he was praying. The transfiguration he is undergoing, the revelation of his divine nature, changes his appearance in some way. Perhaps it is a precursor to Jesus' changed appearance after his resurrection, so that Mary doesn't recognize him as Jesus in the garden and makes the mistake of thinking he is the gardener at the resurrection. Luke says nothing more about Jesus' face. Second, the dazzling white of the holiness that is described here doesn't just light up the area around Jesus, or doesn't just light up Jesus. The purity of Jesus is so overwhelming that it even purifies, it transfigures his clothing. That's amazing power. Third, the mystery of the incarnation is further revealed in this transfiguration. The divine contained in human flesh is there, present with them, revealed to them in that moment. The disciples, whom Jesus now see in his glory, his divine glory, and not just as a man who may be blessed by God, but as the Son of God himself. Jesus is presented as more than a man, which lifts up the incarnation of God becoming flesh and blood like us, living as one of us, being both God and man at the same time. Fourth, the passage tells us that the disciples were sleepy, waiting for Jesus as he prayed. But I don't think that they were tired when Jesus was transfigured. That woke them up, that's for sure. The brightness, the transfiguring of Jesus' face and clothing, the appearance of a Moses who was supposed to have died long ago, and an Elijah who was taken up into heaven by a fiery chariot long ago. Well, I bet that woke them up real good. The passage says they said things to Jesus about making tents for the 3 of them because they didn't know what to say. Encounters with such holiness, along with the unexpected presence of such important but long dead Jewish figures as Moses and Elijah, would have shaken me, that's for sure. I'm not sure I would have been able to say anything. How about you? Fifth, the word of God that comes from the clouds covering the mountain, understood as a theophany, the presence of God in that place, proclaims the identity of Jesus, that they are able to hear and understand. This is my son, my chosen one. In other words, the Messiah. Listen to him. God the Father affirms and confirms the identity of Jesus as his son, as the Son of God, and also as the Messiah. God the Father even appeals to them, imploring them to listen to Jesus, listen to his son. There are events in this life that are so awesome in nature and in scope, so mysterious that we can't even comprehend all of it. in which the only human response to such a thing is silence. Because our minds are trying to catch up with what our reality has witnessed. We're trying to process it all, even when it doesn't seem to make any sense. And who are we going to tell that won't think we're crazy? I understand the silence the disciples felt as they came down the mountain. Go in peace. Serve the Lord.